Hello, everybody. Welcome into another edition of the Computer America Show here on Veterans Day. And we have a terrific show planned for you. Sandy Berger is going to be joining us for both hours, our consumer electronics expert. Should be a really fun show. So sit back, relax, enjoy 2 hours of Computer America coming right at you.
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
I'm back.
All right. Put yourself on mute. We're starting.
Welcome back. Be quiet. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello, and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And welcome into another edition of the Computer America Show. It is Veterans Day, and we all here at Computer America salute all military personnel this Veterans Day for the sacrifices that you have made to defend our freedom. Really, truly, and thank you all for your service. So we've got a terrific program lined up for you in both hours. Sandy Berger is here, our consumer electronics expert. She's going to be talking about all the different things that she finds on the internet that make it fun, and she always does a terrific job. One of the things that we like about Sandy is that when she comments on a product or talks about a product, she's going to tell you if she likes it and why she likes it, and she'll tell you if she doesn't like it and why she doesn't like it. So you really get this, the true scoop from Sandy, and we always appreciate her candor and honesty, and as should all of you, listening to the program. So when she talks about something, you're going to get the real scoop on it. If you have a comment or question for myself or Ben or Sandy, give us a call at 347-884-8881, 347-884-8881. I'll get you on and get you through, assuming that you're listening to us live on our time, which is 3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. If you're watching us live, that number will work, 347-884-8881. If you have a comment or question you don't want to go on the air, we also have another way you can contact us. Any page at ComputerAmerica.com. On the upper right-hand corner, it'll say Submit a Question. Just click that. It'll take you to our question submission page. You can type in your question, click the Submit button, and Ben and I will see it, and we'll ask Sandy your question on your behalf. It'll be just that simple, or your comment, whatever it might be. The other thing that you can do is you can watch the Computer America Show. We are a radio broadcast, we understand that, but we also now have live video streaming available, so you can watch the show. And the way you do that is, again, any page at ComputerAmerica.com, you just go to the show lounge. It's on the menu bar on any page. And when you click that, the live video stream will begin immediately, and it'll take you to the show already in progress. If you're late, that's fine. And you can watch, as you can see myself, you can see Sandy, you can see Ben, and Ben has the wonderful technology that allows him to display websites, movies, videos, so you can see everything that's going on the show while we're talking about it. Another really nice way you can interact with us, Sandy produces what I like to call cheat notes. All you have to do is go to ComputerAmerica.com, and when you click on Sandy's logo, or you go to the show lounge, you'll see right there toward the bottom of the description in very large print, cheat notes. Just click on that, and it'll open up a new window on your browser. It'll take you to a Google Docs document where you can see everything that we're talking about on today's show. You can see the pictures, you can see text about the product, pricing information, and most importantly, a link to the product as well. Links are on the cheat notes. So we really provide an interactive experience for you. We have say videos, movies, streaming, cheat notes, everything that you need to kind of follow along the program. It makes it real simple and that much more enjoyable, I would like to think. So Ben, anything else you want to mention before we get started with Sandy?
Anything else I'd like to mention? No. Once again, Happy Veterans Day. I don't know what happens once a year, but they obviously work year round. So the least we could do is take time out of the one day to say thank you yet again. But other than that, no. Really looking forward to this. Sandy Berger is always a great guest, and yeah, it's going to be a fun show.
Yeah, I understand. By the way, before we get started, I should mention that Ben is going to go to Vegas. This is your first experience out at Las Vegas. You're going to be
just finalized most of the travel arrangements and everything out there, so we are definitely going to be out there at CES this year, and hopefully getting a lot of great interviews, getting more and more companies on the show. Hopefully snag me some free stuff because I love that. And just have a good time out there at really one of the largest trade shows in the world.
Exactly. All right. So as I said, joining us today is Sandy Berger. Sandy is a consumer electronics expert, well versed in things like printers and cell phones and digital cameras and other devices like that. Her website is CompuKiss.com, and Sandy is one of our Computer America correspondents who appears here on the show on a monthly basis. Sandy, welcome into Computer America. How are you?
I'm doing well, Craig.
Okay, and you look good on your Windows 10 machine, and everything seems to be working fine. Finally. And welcome to the program, Sandy. One of the things that we're going to be doing today. Now, are you going to be at the Consumer Electronics Show?
I am, and I'm looking forward to seeing Ben there.
That's right.
Great, Ben.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
You'll be able to press the flesh, as they say,
I have been going to CES, I think, forever. Actually, used to go to Comdex, years and years ago.
Oh.
So it's something that I do enjoy. I enjoy it a lot, and I meet tons of people through the computer, through email, and all that. But there's nothing like seeing and meeting these people in real life. So that's just for that reason alone, it's worth going to the show. I mean, you can get everything that they're going to show us. We can see on our computers, but it's a fun thing.
And not only that, what will really make your trip worthwhile this year, Sandy, is you get to meet Ben.
Oh, yeah,
it's great.
And of course, as you said earlier, this is going to be my first time, not just at CES, but really at any convention in any kind of professional capacity. So if you have any tips, tricks, hints.
Yeah, I'll see you when you're waiting in the taxi line. It's very crowded, Ben. It is, hundreds of thousands of people, and they're all going the same place at the same time, it seems. So you've got to get into the hustle and bustle of it and expect that. And then you'll walk your feet off. But you'll see a lot of really great things. You really will. I mean, I usually spend the whole week there, and I could actually take 2 weeks. There's so much to see and so much to do. You can't possibly take it all in a week or in a couple days.
Well, yeah, I was lucky enough to actually get a place. Not going to give away my exact location, so it's not swarming with fans. But I was lucky to get a place that was, I think, 8 minutes walking distance from the convention from where I'm staying.
Oh, so, cool. All right.
Yeah.
And are you going to do showstoppers, Craig?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, we can do showstoppers, and Ben will be there, and we'd love to, have you at the up on stage there with us at showstoppers.
I will stop by for people who might be listening and not know what showstoppers is. It's the big press show, the biggest press show there at CES, where all the companies that have new products go to show it to the press, so that we can tell all of you guys about it. So it's really an exciting thing.
I'm going to try to send them our new logo too. By the way, I think you can see our new logo.
I see it. It's very nice.
Yeah, it's our new logo. I'm going to see if we can get that up on stage with us. I know they have the older one, but I'm going to see if we can get the new one.
Yeah, the one with the logo that's about, I don't know, 4 logos old by now.
Right. Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see if we can get that updated too.
And I believe we're going to be kicking off our celebration out at CES. This will be our 25th broadcasting year.
Oh,
Yes.
wow. Great.
25
Showing your age again, Craig.
Well, there you go. Anyhow, I think we're ready to get started again. 347-884-8881 number to get you on and get you through. So let's go to the cheat notes, and we're going to start off with the first product here, which is the new Apple TV. And I know it's been causing quite a buzz. First of all, the product is available now, right?
It is. Yes, it came out last week.
Last week, so it's really cutting edge. And my understanding that you feel that this is really quite an update from this. Oh,
it's tremendous, and I will tell everyone, the first Apple TV or the last Apple TV, the last generation, is still on sale, and it looks like a bargain because it's like $69, but don't buy it. It's just, there are others. If you want a cheaper one, buy a Amazon Fire Stick or something like that. Don't buy the old Apple TV. You're going to want to buy the new one because it's leaps and bounds ahead of the other one. Really? Would you say it's leaps and bounds also ahead of some of the other ones that are out there similar to it? Well, that's the interesting thing. It has a lot of innovation in it, the new Apple TV does, but it is lacking some things that others like Amazon and Roku are ahead of Apple on, and the most notable thing is 4K. The new Apple TV does not support 4K. Is that a really important thing? I mean, so many TVs out there are not necessarily 4K. Yeah, that's right. It's something like 3% of the TVs out there right now are 4K. But the sales of 4K TVs have increased. I think last quarter the increase was something like 400%. But if you don't have a 4K TV and you don't see one in your immediate future, then that wouldn't really be an issue. Not only that, what is it? Content in 4K is also another thing. There's not that much content in 4K. But there is content from Amazon now and from Netflix, which are the things that you're going to get over these streaming media machines. Okay. So, like for me, there is definitely a 4K TV in my future. All right. I'm waiting for my old TV to cough or die or do something, so I have an excuse to buy a new one. But the 4K is so phenomenally better than the old things that that if I buy another TV now, it will definitely be 4K. So I would rather buy a streaming device that I know will last me at least through that TV. The new TV I would buy. Because the streaming devices, like if you can pay $35 for a Chromecast. And you don't mind throwing it away next year and buying a new one if you need to or want to. But the Apple TV is $149, so it's one of the more expensive streaming things, not one of the cheapest. Are you surprised? I mean, that Apple wants to be cutting edge and they did not include 4K or a 4K model. Why do you think they did that? I don't know. I am surprised though. I really am. I'm surprised that they didn't put 4K in. I'm not surprised that they're not supporting Amazon, although I think Amazon and Apple will make a deal, and I think they'll eventually support it. Right now they don't. That's just a software issue, though, right? That's not a hardware thing. So it is a software issue, right? They have to make nice with each other. Right. But the devices will probably be all ready to do that, and when they do make nice, they'll be able to make them work if they decide. Well, right now, I can take my iPad or my iPhone and I can stream Amazon to that. I can watch a movie on that and use Apple Play to stream it to the TV. Okay, sure. Through the Apple TV. So I mean, it's more difficult than it would be if it was built right in. Mm-hmm. But you can't, if you have an Amazon account and there's something you want to watch, as long as you have another Apple device, you can do that. Okay. All right. Fair enough. So let's continue. So 4K was the only stumbling block, but you say this may represent the future of TV, and let's talk about some of the great new features. Well, the best new feature, of course, is that they've included Siri. Now, Amazon is a step ahead, because, and Roku too, but Amazon in particular, because they have put Alexa, their voice, their artificial intelligence, into their Fire TV that came out about a month ago. And actually, if you just compare the two, Alexa is much better and more intelligent on the TV than Siri is. Siri is not as smart as she is on your iPhone or your iPad, so don't expect too much from her.
Okay.
But what you can expect is that she can find movies for you. You press a button on the remote, and you talk to Siri and ask her questions, and she can search across venues. So whether you have HBO Go, Netflix, or Hulu, if you want to find a movie, you ask Siri, find this movie for me, and she'll find it no matter which medium it's on, which is something that Alexa cannot do at this point in time. I think that Amazon will be adding that feature, but it's not there yet.
Okay.
Really? So this is a feature that the great and powerful Greg Grossman has said that he never wanted in any capacity to talk to your television.
No, that's not what I said.
You said that there's something about having the remote in your hand. There's no need to have voice commands for a television.
No, that's not quite what I said. I said when I'm channel surfing, I find it easier just to go up, down, and just if I'm looking at a grid, it's easier than having the grid, make the cursor go up one.
Well, the grid's gonna go away too. You got to figure that.
So if I'm using a grid, I still think a handheld remote is better. But if I'm searching, I say find me all the Clint Eastwood movies. That would certainly be a lot easier.
That's right, and Siri is very smart in that aspect. So even if there's like somebody has a special appearance on a show, you can say, find me the whatever show it was that featured the star, and she'll pretty much find it for you. So she's very good at searching that. I'll tell you, Ben, the real thing here is TV is becoming interactive. Whether you look at the Amazon Fire, or you look at Roku, or you look at this new Apple TV, you see it. You see that people no longer want to just look at the TV. They want to interact with it.
Right.
And maybe that's what Craig is going to start to get used to now, because it's coming quickly.
Yeah, Apple is definitely not the only one that is making television interactive. Like, I feel like most cable companies were trying to do this a while ago.
Right.
They always had this thing like a game channel where you could always pay like $4 for a game on your cable box, and then you could use your remote as a remote control.
Right.
Like, they've always taken baby steps, but the streaming devices they seem to mix just the App Store, which has great apps in it that are games, and now you're getting that bleed over, and it's really coming to what it should be.
You're right, and this is not a baby step. The App Store with the Apple TV is what I consider a giant step, because it's adding not just games, like Roku has games, the Fire TV has games, but this is adding apps that can be interactive with your TV. And one of the great examples of this, which you might be surprised when I say this, is the QVC app. So, shopping, people have always done shopping on TV, right? Or for a long time. Okay, so you shop on TV, and then you go to your iPhone or your computer or your telephone and you order something. Okay, what this QVC app does is it actually streams the QVC channel, so you see just what you would if you turn the TV on, but on the side there's a place where you can order it right on your Apple TV.
Oh no.
Yes, you can order what you want. Then they across the bottom are other things that they're selling that they might have just showed, or that you might be interested in, and you can click over to that. And the potential of this is amazing, because I can see already that they're going to be adding more and more things that you can do with this QVC app on your TV. And that's really the beauty of it. That's what it's all about. You don't have to go to your computer anymore, or even to your iPhone. You do it all through your TV.
Oh, that's scary that they are considering because there was always that nice little window of time where I feel like most people they see what they see it on TV, they realize it's a limited time offer, and they have that short time between getting up from the couch, walking over to the phone or the computer, and ordering it.
Exactly.
That they could snap out of the impulse buying.
Right. Now, there's no snapping out of it. you just tap and buy.
Can't wait till they hook up cameras to TVs and it's like, if you'd like to purchase this, please blink, and it will automatically be charged to your card.
That's right. That's right. Well, but it's not just the shopping. I use that as an example. Another example. Have you guys, either of you, played Crossy Road?
I've not heard of that.
All right, Crossy Road is a real popular on the iPhone and the iPad. It's an app where you have these little guys and you're crossing the road with obstacles, trains and trucks and all this, and you have to take your guy across the road.
It sounds like a modern-day version of Frogger.
Frogger, exactly. That's what it is.
Okay.
And it's really cute, very well done. But and you can play, when you're on your iPhone or iPad, you can play against other people. But on the Apple TV, they took basically the same game. They added a few things to it, which is nice. But you can now play with your Apple remote. One person can play with your Apple remote, and the other can play with your iPhone or your iPad against each other.
Ah.
And it's just a totally different feeling than playing against somebody that you can't see who happens to be in Sweden or Singapore or whatever. You could always do that. But this is where you're sitting right next to the person and you're trying to win, and they're saying yay and they're yelling at you, and it's a lot more personable. The kids that have come over and played that just absolutely love it.
Really?
Yeah. And then the apps are just going to start to come out now. They're just starting. There's one called Madefire, and it's a comic book reader. And what it is, Ben, you might even like it if you get an Apple TV. You read comic books on the screen, but you go at your own speed, and it's just got more than 2 pages of a comic book. It's got little things here and there on the screen and add-ins, and very, very well done. Now, I haven't read a comic book in years and years, but I sat there and read a comic book on the Apple TV.
Which comic book did you read, out of curiosity?
It was a superhero of some sort, somebody I didn't even know. But it was very well done, very interesting, and that's what's going to happen.
So it seems like Apple is really making a push with this to provide lots of content that isn't just about streaming movies or television shows or your cable box. It's really, this is going to become the quintessential multimedia center.
That's right. And I think, in my opinion, it's going to catch on because, I see the kids playing with this and watching it, and they're more involved than they have been on their iPad or whatever. It's very interesting. There's also one, I think it's called Corsica or something like that. It's teaching courses where you can see the teacher on TV and interact again. It's the interaction which is really kind of neat. You can take free courses or you can take courses for a certificate, and there's, of course, all sorts of courses from various companies and various schools. These are all totally different, unique apps, and I'm sure there's a million more coming soon. But I think that as developers see the potential in this, it's going to be big. It's going to be very big.
So let me ask you this. I know you're have been for numerous shows about the Amazon. What's her name?
Echo.
Echo, yeah, the Echo, but the
Alexa.
Alexa, right? You've been a huge Alexa fan. Is this going to not necessarily replace, but be an accessory too? I mean, are you going to use both, or how are you going to integrate Apple TV into what you do?
Well, it's interesting because the biggest word that I see about Apple TV is the same word I saw about the Echo when Amazon came out with it. It's the word potential.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really the device right now as it stands. I see things wrong with the Apple TV, just like I saw things wrong with Echo. But I also see that as they continue to add things, new apps, and to kind of fine-tune what they have there, it's going to get better and better. So I see the Apple TV basically as having a ton of potential.
So you're going to keep it. You're going to.
Yeah. No, I want to keep it, and I want to see what they're actually adding. A lot of times, I return review products, but sometimes I'll keep it or I'll buy it from the company or whatever.
Is Alexa in one room and the Apple TV is where the TV is? I mean, how are you going to?
Do you keep them a safe distance apart so they don't kill each other?
No, you remember I also have an Amazon Fire TV.
Okay.
And the new one has Alexa and works with the Alexa in the Echo. So it's all very, very interesting. Now, the thing that Alexa can do is she can turn lights on and off and home automation.
Right.
The Fire TV cannot do that right now, but it's probably got that potential in the future. The Apple TV has the same thing. Apple's HomeKit has been very slow in being released. There are some Philips devices and different devices that work with it, but there hasn't been a whole lot yet. I see this as conceivably being the basis of the Apple home devices.
Mm-hmm.
So this TV could control your whole world, basically your home. Now, interestingly enough, it's still slightly difficult to turn the TV on, to turn it to the right input, and to have the streaming device come on, whether it's Apple or Amazon, doesn't matter. That's a little inconvenient. The Echo, which stands on your table and you ask it questions and you tell it to turn the lights on and off, that's a lot more feasible to me as a home device or home controlling device. But I'm going to wait and see what Apple comes up with, because I assume they've got something in their mind to cross-link this with their home devices.
Okay, so the future.
The future. I really would have liked to have seen them put 4K in here, and they didn't. One thing that they took out, one thing that was in their previous Apple TV, was that you could hook it up to a Bluetooth keyboard for text entry.
I guess they figured that with the Glide, the remote control.
Right, the remote control. Matter of fact, see if we can.
Yeah.
We can see it here. It's very thin, and the top part is. Oh, I have it upside down. Okay, the top part is a touchpad.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, if you look at it, the top and the bottom are identical.
I was going to say, except one is more shiny.
One is shiny and one is dull. But when you're just grabbing the thing, it's real easy to get it upside down, and then you're tapping and nothing's happening because you've got it upside down. So that's one quirk that I didn't like about it. But because the text, when you have to choose something for text, you have to put in a password, all right, for Netflix or something like that. Basically, on the screen, all your text is in one row, A to Z.
Oh.
And you scroll sideways with your finger. It sounds like it's really easy, but it's not. It's
maybe it's a new game that they've introduced. The
scrolling is more imprecise than when you were actually clicking from one to another.
Oh.
Now, if you have an iPhone or an iPad, the Apple TV works very similar. So you can double-click the home button. You can press and hold to rearrange your apps and things like that. Things that you can do if you're used to on the phone, you'll be able to do on this remote as well. One extremely interesting thing that they did was you can set up the whole Apple TV from your iPhone.
Oh.
Okay. So you plug it in and basically take your iPhone and put it next to the IR on it, and it has Bluetooth too. And it automatically grabs from your iPhone the name of your network, the password, and everything. You're logged in.
That's nice. That's slick. Yeah.
It really is very slick. But then you get into it, and every like Netflix, Hulu. You want to buy something from Apple, you've got to put your password in again, and that is very cumbersome. Now, the old Apple TV, you used to be able to hook up a keyboard. And I actually called Apple on this. Matter of fact, I got wonderful response from them, and they, in my mind, have not been known for being extremely responsive. I did not call the press line. I called the regular line and asked, several questions. They called me back immediately, just like Amazon does. They were wonderful and responsive, and they said, yes, we're disappointed too that you could use the keyboard on the old one and not on the new one, but it does have Bluetooth. You can use Bluetooth headphones with it, and the fella indicated that he thinks that they will add that, which I believe they added that to the last generation Apple TV. When it came, you couldn't use a keyboard.
All right, Sandy. Listen, we're at the bottom of the hour. We're going to take a quick break, and we're talking to Sandy Berger. We've got lots more on the Apple TV, and we got many more topics that we're going to be talking about. This is Computer America. A News Disposal review is coming up, too. Be right back.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Sometimes disaster strikes. Data can be lost due to many different reasons. Accidental reformatting, power spikes, virus attacks. Zero Assumption Recovery provides a suite of highly effective and thorough data recovery software for Windows operating systems. ZA is suitable for home users and small businesses who need a powerful data recovery solution for Windows and Linux file systems.
Go to z-a-recovery.com.
Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they are available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com.
He used to say he was the guy who put the ram in Ramada. Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time the Amperage Mighty Mic S smartphone shotgun. A mic doesn't have to be very good to perform better than the ones built into smartphones. Amperage sent their Mighty Mic S with a fairly good condenser mic element in a shotgun housing about half as long as a soda straw and with a 4-part headset plug out the bottom side. A shotgun mic puts air vents behind the mic element, so sound pressure from the sides can cancel out the same sounds from the front, meaning a fairly directional sensitivity beam that can somewhat reject or reduce surrounding ambient noise. We tested it at short range and at arm's length, both on axis and off, to confirm that it works as expected. Bottom line, an Amperage Mighty Mic S helps a smartphone recorder communicate in noisy places. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. 33 minutes past the hour. Thank you, Marty Winston, for that News Tip Bulletin review. And yeah, we're here with Sandy Berger all the show, and we're talking right now. We're really getting into the Apple TV. And one thing I wanted to bring up before we move on with the Apple TV was, yes, it comes with the new fancy touch remote, which is great in some regards, as you were saying. The scrolling is a little bit weird, but yeah, these things happen. One complaint that we had heard from other people, and I kind of want to get your take on it, is, of course, they do sell an Apple controller.
Yeah.
It's like a full-blown game console controller, but of course, made for the Apple TV. And a lot of people were kind of surprised that for the price that you can purchase it for, 150 to 200 bucks, it does not come with one automatically. Like, you have to go out and purchase it for, I believe it's another $40 or $50.
Yes, I think you're right. But $40 is what I have in my mind.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I started off the show by saying this is one of the more expensive ones,
Yeah.
and that's one of the reasons. This Apple TV is for 32 gig is $149, 64 gig is $199. There is still no micro SD card slot, which for Apple you get used to, but on the other hand, if you want a good gaming device, you would have to buy the $199 one, so you could store the games. That would be the reason for buying the bigger hard drive. And $199, and it doesn't have the gaming control.
Well, the gaming is $50. It's $49.95, by the way.
Is it? Okay. I think that Amazon's for $150 or $160, you get one with the gaming control too. So the Apple TV is just more expensive, as Apple is, and they, I guess, can get away with it. So what can I say?
All right, but the gaming controller now, Ben, you're more of an aficionado on gaming controllers. This is very similar to the ones you get with an Xbox One or a PlayStation.
Right.
It's obviously made by a third party. If you purchase a PlayStation or a Nintendo or an Xbox, those are of course made, through those different manufacturers. The game controller, as you can see, we have it up here on the screen, made by SteelSeries, and they're a very, very nice company. They make great gaming peripherals. I know them mostly for their mice and their headphones, but it's not an official Apple product. It's just the one that they sell to work with Apple TV. So,
right.
Yeah.
And the remote control that comes with the Apple TV is not that precise, because a touch screen is just not precise when you're gaming. Now you can use it like you can back and forth, and it's got a accelerometer, it's got the gyroscope, so you can use it to control games. But if you're heavy into games and you want the Apple TV, that would be an added cost.
Yes, it would be. And the other accessory they sell is a loop for your wrist.
Yeah, they used to sell that with the Wiis and things like that, so
right.
that if you do this sort of function and you get carried away, the kids or whatever, you don't need it to go through your TV. So I guess that is something I would not buy, but somebody else might be needing it.
Yeah.
One thing about this Apple TV is that they have a new operating system completely rewritten for it. So it's called tvOS, and it does have some unique things, like when you go to choose something on the screen, it can jiggle, it can almost have a 3D effect. Now, one thing I noticed is that I have had trouble, at least originally, to choose things when I'm on the one that I want to choose, because sometimes the choice is highlighted in white and sometimes it's highlighted in red. So these are little things that Apple will, take care of. I don't know if they just brought it out a little too quickly or what. There are a couple things in the OS that need to be tweaked. One nice thing, though, is that the remote has a lightning charger on it, and they give you a lightning charge, so you can plug it into your USB or whatever. In other words, you don't have to worry about the batteries.
How long does a charge last in the?
They say with average use that it lasts for a month.
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty darn good, actually.
Yeah, but there's no way to tell that I can see anyway. I didn't see any light on there or anything, so I don't think there's any way to tell when the battery gets low. I guess it just doesn't work.
Or it says, or it might say on your TV screen your battery is low or something.
That's right. Yeah, that could be. I'll wait a month and see. Hopefully it will last that long. But I did like that. I think their old remote took watch batteries, and that is such a pain to go out and find the right battery for it and insert it and all that. So
Yeah, I don't know if you can see, but I still have my. If you watch, I still have my remote. Yeah, exactly. But you know what? I can't. I have it, and I can't use it because, like 2 generations ago, it doesn't work with the Mac anymore. In other words, it works with the Mac, but the operating system, the Apple operating system,
is beyond that. Yeah.
Doesn't. It used to be I would hit this, and I would get my Mac would go to a different screen, and And then when they updated to, I think it was Snow Leopard back then. Snow Leopard said, "Okay, sorry, we're not working with that."
Yeah, Snow Leopard made some huge changes. Yeah, I'm not surprised to hear that.
Yeah, and they haven't brought it back. So basically, I have the little remote sitting here, and that's all. Maybe they'll bring it back. I hope I hang on to the remote just in case.
I'd kind of give up on that if I were you, Craig.
Yeah, but
sorry for the bad news, but
I know. But Apple TV, the older Apple TV uses that remote, by the way, too.
I just told you not to buy an old Apple TV.
Yeah, I know, but if you have an old Apple TV,
if you have one, yeah, okay.
Exactly.
All right. One other thing that I need to say about the Apple TV. Especially the remote, but the Apple TV has built into the HDMI is the newer standard. Oh gosh, what's it called? Help me, guys. It's a sound standard CEC or something like that. Anyway, what this remote will do is it's got a volume function up and down for the volume. But if you have a sound bar, it'll work on your TV on most newer TVs. And if you have a soundbar that supports the newer version of the HDMI, it will also control your soundbar, which is very nice. That's a very nice feature.
So
you even have to have a newer HDMI cable to have this. Oh, what is it? I know it starts with a C and it's 3 letters. Don't remember the other 2 letters, but I'll look it up.
Okay.
And I'll put it on my CompuKiss website.
Yes, the C blank cables.
Yes. It's not a special cable. Most HDMI cables that you have today have it, but this has to be built into your soundbar, so you have to have a newer soundbar.
Okay.
If you do, you can control the volume through the remote control, which I think is really pretty cool.
Yeah, obviously, the more consolidation you can get with features like that, the better. But
that's right, because I'm sitting here in front of my TV with 3 different remotes right now. One for the soundbar, which I did not. One of my soundbars will work through this. The other one didn't, so I am playing with that, and you know how that goes.
Yeah, exactly. It's the old saying. You have to keep up. Obviously, technology moves on. And if you're buying new stuff, chances are all the new stuff will work with the new Apple TV. But if you have older equipment, it may or may not work.
Right.
This is just the price that you pay. Technology is always making improvements. Granted, thank goodness, a lot of the stuff is software upgradable. I mean, that's nice.
Right.
But sometimes it comes down to the hardware.
Yeah. For instance, on the new Apple TV, it looks pretty much like the old Apple TV or like the Fire TV. It's just a little black square. But what they took out is the optical. They took the optical out because they don't need it anymore.
Yeah, optical is falling by the wayside. It's falling by the wayside.
Right. Yeah. So you get older stuff. All of a sudden, is that on the Apple TV or is that on the Fire TV that I think maybe it was the Fire TV they took out. But basically, they're feeling they don't need the optical anymore because there's not that many people hooking up to it. So it's like your remote control. Some things are just getting old.
And the
I like that.
Yeah, it's interesting because the HDMI really gives you excellent sound. And optical was out before HDMI, and HDMI basically does it all with one cable, and that really is the way to go if you have
exactly. But if your equipment doesn't support it, it doesn't support it. So
yeah, hey, it's like everything else. You get older equipment eventually. If you want the newer features and the consolidation, you kind of bite the bullet and you try to sell your older stuff, and then move on to the newer. Especially if you're in the media and you're covering this stuff, it can get pretty expensive.
It can, because you've got to keep up, and your mind gets overfilled with all these different technologies that you knew from way back when. right? You know, when you think about it, we've gone from one technology to the next, to the next, to the next. Sometimes my brain just gets overloaded, like it did today when I can't remember the name of this.
But you know what, Sandy? I mean, it keeps us people like us in business, because if we came up on the month and said, well, what's new? We go, well, nothing's really changed. It's the same. You know. I'd rather have it so it's changing and new things are coming out.
And do you think it's changing faster now than ever before? Do you feel that way?
Yeah, it is. It's changing. And
I do and I don't. Like, I really do feel like the hardware is getting to the point where it's predictable, and the increase is definitely there, but the hardware is predictable now. It's not, wow, did you see what this computer can do? It's like, oh no, this one is 25% faster. That's that's expected. But I think what's changing is just the I want to say like the user interface, but just the way that we interact with technology. That's what's changing really fast.
Well, that plus the applications of the home use, that's what I'm finding fascinating right now, is all these home devices that are connected to the internet that 5 years ago I said, basically, what do I want that for? And now I'm telling Alexa to turn my lights on.
Right.
It's what, and that's probably part of what you said, Ben. It's people that are changing. And the technology is going right along with them.
Yeah, and technology sometimes changes in subtle ways. For example, I would say the word "hey," and then after that I would say the word Siri, together, and she would do it without my touching. But the iPhone had to be at a powered source, had to be plugged in. Well, I found out not too long ago that it doesn't have to be plugged in anymore. I can say those words and access my iPhone at any time now. So,
that's right.
Yeah, and that was just pretty much a software upgrade. They decided, and there's not even a switch that really you can just basically do it and it's fine. I think in the settings deep down somewhere there's a thing where you can turn that off if you're. But how often do you say hey and then say?
Well, you know why they did that? Because Windows 10 has that built in where and in Windows 10 it's turned off by default, but you can turn it on and just say hey Cortana.
Mm-hmm.
And then she answers. And right after they put that into Windows 10 is when the Hey Siri, which was originally copied from Apple, they copy from each other, no doubt about that. But anyway, that's when Apple renovated that feature.
And we make fun of them copying one another, but bottom line, who benefits from that? Consumers.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt. The more competition that I see, especially with these streaming devices, the more competition, the better, because we're all the beneficiaries of it.
Well, and we've kind of concurred in this, and I think that you'll agree, is that the future right now of everything seems to be streaming. Ownership of product seems to be kind of falling by the wayside, especially with millennials who don't want to. They're not collectors. They're not rat packs. They don't have 2 rooms filled with DVDs on bookshelves and everything. They basically watch it, they'll have it, and that's it. If they want to watch it again, they guess they could stream it again. But that's and iTunes is all these things are now going to streaming rather than ownership.
Right. And that's one thing about Apple TV, talking about streaming instead of ownership, is Apple Music. That came out, a couple months ago?
Yep.
Which Apple is now charging $10 a month, I believe, or right near there, for their music. And when I turned on the Apple TV, it was very easy to play Apple Music, but not that easy to play my music.
Really?
Okay. So the music that I have in iTunes, if I want to play that on the Apple TV, I have to turn it on in the settings of the Apple TV. That's okay, but it's called home sharing. I have to use home sharing to do that.
All right.
And you don't have to have a Mac. You can do it on a PC or a Mac, but you have to turn on home sharing in iTunes. You have to have iTunes running.
Yes.
And then you can play it on your Apple TV. So it's quite a few extra steps that you have to do. In my mind, this is, they could have made it much, much easier. They didn't. Why not? They want me to subscribe to Apple Music. That's why. So if I subscribe to Apple Music, it's really easy to play my music on
Well, let me ask you this.
Apple TV.
In all candor, again, now, how many songs do you own on iTunes, approximately?
A lot, maybe 1,000 or something like that. It's well over a couple hundred. Let's put it that way.
And if you would ask a millennial today, how many songs do you own on iTunes, what do you think the answer is going to be?
I have actually asked people that question, and there are still people that are accumulating their own songs. There's no doubt about that. But you're right, some of them just don't because they're listening online.
Yeah.
And the same thing, Amazon, on their Fire TV, if you're an Amazon Prime member, you can listen to all the music that they have, just like Apple has, for whatever your subscription for Apple Prime is. And they make it really easy, as Apple makes it easy to play Apple Music on their TV.
So what do you think, as a consumer electronics expert, what do you think? Where do you think it's all going? You think it's going to be all streaming eventually and very little ownership, if any? I mean, there'll always be collectors out there. There's always going to be people, you can still find people collect DVDs and 8-track tapes and what have you.
I have a selection of vinyl records right in the next room.
Yeah, vinyl. You always going to find that, but for the majority of the people, you think it's going to go to streaming?
I think it already has for the majority of the people. And yet, what I see with books is very interesting. Kindle books, digital books were phenomenally popular. And now it seems like the companies are printing for Christmas season, and they're printing hundreds of thousands of books. And evidently they expect to sell those. So I'm wondering if it's kind of having a little relapse in that industry.
Well, I think if you go into most homes, there's a library of some sort. There's shelves that are for books. I think just homes come with that as standard, like bathrooms. You know, I think it's just there, and or display of some sort, like the case that's behind you. I mean, something along those lines. I think people have that, and they feel the need to fill it with something. And so, I mean, you can put China in there, but I think people will still find a reason to put some books. So I think books will always.
If for no other reason to make themselves look smart, because who doesn't like that?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, if you look behind me in my image, you see I have bookshelves back there. Now, I mean, I have shelves in my office. They came with the office. And so they're there. So I find myself putting picture frames and things like that. Although the digital pictures, I still put big picture.
And then he had to go out and buy all these fake books. It was awful.
But there's still room for books, and so and I have books from the past, and so I've sold a lot of them, gotten rid of a lot of them, but I still have some that I just don't want to give. Plus, I have some personally autographed books, that are from the authors and that have sentimental value, and so I do keep those. So I don't know if that's a generational thing or if that's something that books will always be around because they've been with us for so. I mean, records have only been around for how? I mean, you can't go back to ancient Greece, when they had scrolls and books. They didn't have records, right? I mean, records is a technological thing. We've had those for the past maybe couple of hundred years, but books have been around for thousands and thousands of years, and I think that there are probably libraries. Although libraries are becoming modern, they're having digital. They still have books. I think books are going to be around for a long time.
Well, I think music is going to be around for a long time too. Whether it's vinyl records or some of it with the format changes.
Yeah.
Which in books it doesn't. In books, you had hardcover books, you had paperback books, and then you had digital books. But in the meantime, if you look at the music industry, we went from vinyl records to the big 8-track tapes to cassette tapes to DVDs to CDs.
Mini disc players. We had mini disc players.
Yeah. There's been all sorts of different formats, and I think that's why people are a lot more willing with music to not own it. Because if you now have a collection of 8-track tapes, or actually there were reel tapes before that.
Yes, that's reel-to-reel tapes. That's
reel-to-reel tapes. So, the stuff can become outdated so much more quickly in the music industry.
And it's basically in the same time duration where books, again, have been around for thousands of years. I mean, they had scrolls, maybe, but primarily they were books, and books stay books.
Right.
Some of them have, the printing or illustrated books. We have coffee table books, but basically books, the format has pretty much always been the same, and will probably stay that way. There's been a lot more change, you say, in the music industry than there has been in the book industry.
Right, and there have been changes in the TV industry, not as many as the music industry, but the changes are this. Previously, if we wanted to, you remember Betamax tapes and VHS tapes and all that.
They'll have them.
But if you wanted to have something to keep, you had to have these big tapes, it on there. And then the DVRs came in, and that really changed things dramatically. Not a lot of people have. I have a friend who has a huge collection of VHS tapes, but there aren't too many people like that. Most people have thrown those away, and they go to Blu-ray discs now.
Yeah, we know people like. I mean, I know guys that has rooms full of DVDs, just stacked up, and I remember asking him, I said, when was the last?
It's very orderly. It's not like they're hoarders kind of level, but
it's turning into a hoarder level. I mean,
it's fine.
There. But the point is,
you know how much money he saves on wallpaper? Because
yeah. Exactly. But the point is, I said, when was the last time you actually watched one of these? And he said, no, I just haven't, and I know in the back of my mind if I ever want to, I can, but I never do. And that's usually the case. I mean, Ben's brother, Aaron, carried around thousands of songs in his iPod. He had the old iPod.
Ben's brother, Aaron, your son.
Yes, exactly.
Way to distance yourself from that part.
Why? I said, why do you carry around these thousands of that? She said, well, just because if I ever want to listen to it, I can. I said, when was the last time you did? Well, I can't remember. So.
And then it becomes a financial thing. So your friend, how much money has he invested in the DVDs or whatever he has?
Retired doctor, yeah, exactly.
Okay, but how much has he really invested where if he was of the mindset that he could go and watch anything he wanted on TV or on Netflix or wherever, Redbox, he would spend a lot less money, but yet people, I think, by nature are collectors, so there's always going to be that, right?
Yeah, he's a collector.
Like things like that definitely started because he came from a generation that when you own something, you owned albums, you owned videotapes, you owned this, that, and the other. That I think the millennials and the new generation, they don't really have that because they have access to everything, but they don't own anything.
That's true. It is a totally different world out there, and sometimes it really aggravates me when I have something like, be it a movie or something that I have taped on. Say I have it, not taped, I have it on my DVR, okay? And I would like to send that to somebody else to share it with them, like loan it to somebody, and I can't do that easily. Because I'm of the old mindset that I'm used to owning things. So it's just a big change, and you're right. The millennials have grown up with that change, and they're used to not owning things.
I think I have like 6 or 10 DVDs that I own that I have. Like Forbidden Planet, that type of thing. But the bottom is, if I want to watch Forbidden Planet, I can go to Netflix and watch it. I don't
exactly.
have even though I have it. So there it is.
TV is.
Times. Yeah.
TV is definitely changing. There's no doubt about it, and I don't know where it's all going to wind up. To be honest with you, I know that the Apple TV is kind of about making choices, so you can put these apps on, and there's also your ABC app, your whatever app, so people just don't want to have 300 channels of which they only watch 8. Right. They don't want that anymore. Now there are things out there like Sling and other things that you can choose, but right now the choices are too limited, and sports is the huge thing, the huge hang up there.
Yeah. If you're like me, for example, I'm not into sports, so that's really not a factor. But I have DirecTV, and I still subscribe to DirecTV because I like the fact that I can still get the local stations and that type of thing. I can get the local programming through DirecTV, and then I have all the premium channels. I can. But if you ask, and it's nice to be able to go through and see what they're showing, but there's got to be another way of doing it, and hopefully.
Yeah, and the other thing is the sporting packages are so expensive. Matter of fact, they had if you watched Apple when they talked about Apple TV and they showed you baseball.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't get the Apple TV out for baseball season, which was a shame.
Yeah.
But they have hockey on it, so I really kind of wanted to watch that. But to sign up for hockey was like $120.
But don't you get interactive? You get screens, you can get scores, you can get.
You can get some things without. Yes, you can get screens and scores, but you can't get the actual games unless you subscribe.
But when you watch the actual games, I think the Apple TV offers you overlays, in other words, so you can see additional information, statistics, stats, that type of thing. I think it's something along those lines.
But I think you have to subscribe to.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and that's the $120 or so that you have to subscribe to.
Listen, we're at the top of the hour. We got so much more to talk about. Sandy Berger, 2 hours is usually never enough. Sandy Berger is here with us, our consumer electronics expert. We're going to just break for a few short moments, and then we'll be back with Hour 2 of the Computer America Show, including the Epson printer that has ink for over 2 years. Stay with us.
Broadcasting live, it's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@computeramerica.com.
Hello and welcome into Hour 2 of the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. This is the Computer America Show, and I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And we continue on with Sandy Berger. Sandy Berger, our consumer electronics expert. In the first hour, we've been pretty much talking about the new Apple TV. However, we've kind of sidetracked back and forth, sort of around it, which is it's all relevant information, things that you need to know, and certainly extremely informative. We're also talking a little bit about the future of digital media and how things are going to go. Again, if you have any questions, 347-884-8881 will get you on and get you through, or our website, ComputerAmerica.com, the internet home of the Computer America broadcast. So, Sandy, we're sort of winding up with Apple TV here. Anything else you want to mention before we go on to the?
I'll just leave the word potential out there. Got lacks some things right now, but it's got a lot of potential, and it'll be interesting to watch.
All
Something
right.
that maybe we'll talk about again in the future.
Yeah, I could say that same thing about Ben. A lot of potential, interesting to watch.
That hurts.
No.
Sorry, Ben.
Wow. Well, and let's face it, it's an Apple product. They don't tend to flop. Like they have really good marketing. They don't just let products sit and wither away and die. I mean, it's an Apple product. It'll be around.
It'll be around, and they do have Amazon to compete with now. So as Amazon keeps making their Echo and their products better, I think that Apple obviously will too.
Just to be a fly on the wall in the Apple R&D department, I mean, my gosh, I mean, they have billions and billions of dollars they pour into these things to make them happen. I mean, they must have some. They must be. They're obviously working on the next generation Apple Watch. What's the next one's going to be? Thinner, smooth, smaller. I mean, they have all these things that I'm sure that they're continuing to work on.
See, R&D to me, that part sounds boring. It's like, all right, folks, what are we going to do for the next phone? How about smaller and how about larger and thinner? Wow,
I guess you never wanted to be a scientist when you were a kid.
Being a scientist is something new, and that's something technology, and especially Apple, hasn't really done. New isn't really what they're known for nowadays.
It is all new.
Yeah.
It is all new. Every generation is new.
I mean, it's new because it came out.
No, they add new features. We're talking about all the new things that they just added to Apple TV. I mean,
we're talking about all the brain power that it takes to develop all these things.
Yeah.
Not just come up with the ideas, but to actually bring them to fruition.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic. I'd love to be part of that, Craig.
Yeah.
But this next product we're going to talk about,
All right. Well,
That's something new.
Yes, it is, and then yeah, exactly. When you have an inkjet printer, what is, I guess, the weakest link to that inkjet, and that is the ink, the cost of disposables. They're constantly running out of ink, and I mean, they have great ways of measuring it, indicating when it's coming close. But basically, ink can easily out cost the price of the printer. It's almost like they give you the printer for nothing, and then the ink, they really hit you. Well, Epson is really a forerunner in novel and new things, and they've come out with something called the Epson Echo Tank line of printers, and this is absolutely amazing because of the high cost of ink cartridges. This is a totally new line of printers, and it has ink tanks, which you fill, I guess, with bottles. We'll get into detail, but the bottom line here is that one fill of this printer will last, according to Epson, on average, will last you like 2 years.
No, not that one fill lasts 2 years, but the printer itself comes with enough ink for 2 years.
But
it actually comes in 2 different bottles, so
yeah, okay.
What you said is close, but not quite accurate.
Okay, well, that's what you're here for.
Yep.
But the understanding is that each fill is going to last a lot more than an ink cartridge.
That's right, a ton longer.
A ton longer. The tanks that you fill.
Right.
So tell us a bit more about this printer.
I actually really liked this printer. The one that I reviewed is the ET4550. This is the more expensive Echo Tank printer. It's $499. They have several models that are smaller or do a little bit less and cost a little bit less. So this is their kind of top of the line. Would be good for a business or home business or for a home user.
Okay. All right.
Okay. It comes with enough ink for 11,000 black pages. The ink that's in it is equivalent to 50 sets of ink cartridges. That would just be the standard ink cartridge.
50 sets of ink cartridges.
50 sets of ink cartridges. Wow. So now here's the dilemma. You're paying more for the printer, but a whole lot less for the ink. Which way do you want to go? I have been thoroughly frustrated by running out of ink, by the cost. I mean, basically, you go to buy a set of cartridges, and it costs almost $100.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, because you have, 4 or 5 colors, whatever you're buying. The tanks that you fill this up with were $12.99 each.
Really?
So 4 colors for, I think the black might have been $20, and the others were $13. So even the refill of it is a lot less. So if you use your printer a lot, this, without a doubt, is going to be a lot more economical. So now let me tell everybody what it's all about.
Yeah. Now,
you get the printer. Go ahead.
Are these all-in-one printers? I mean, you can...
Yes. I don't know if the lowest priced one is an all-in-one or not, but the one I reviewed is an all-in-one printer.
Okay.
It has a nice screen. That's the one place that, well, let me go to how it works first.
Okay.
Basically, you get the printer. It looks just like your average printer, and you get with it 8 ink jars of ink, plastic containers of ink that look just like big jars of ink. And then you open up the side of the printer, and you press the ink in. So there's a special place to put it. They tell you to be very careful. Maybe you want to wear plastic gloves or whatever. I didn't find any of that necessary. And I'm the type of person who, when I paint the room, I get as much paint on me as I do on the walls. So, I was prepared. I put newspaper under the printer and everything. I was prepared to, make a mess. And I didn't spill a drop. I mean, it's very easy. They've got the place you put it, you fill it up, and that's it. So that part was real easy. This printer at $4.99 is less than I paid for my first color inkjet printer years ago. So I didn't find it that expensive. The performance is excellent. It's an all-in-one, so you've got your copier, and this particular model has the
Scanner, fax, Ethernet.
yeah, has everything you want. Plus the I think it's a 50-page automatic scanning
Nice.
thing. Yeah, it's just got everything you could want in a printer, and it prints beautifully. So what's not to like?
Wow, no, it is. I'm looking at basically they're two for what they call their expression line,
Right.
2500 and 2550, and then there are two for the business, which is the ET 4500 and 4550. I think the 50 adds, it takes the one below it and adds a few more features, which is I'm trying to see what it would be. And then they have the super top of the line, which is the Workforce Pro, which is the R4 6440, which is it looks like a beast. That's a
and that one has the ink is in like pouches or something. So that one, the top of the line, the really high end one, is a little different.
Right, exactly. And that has but they all have the ET 4550 has 150 sheet paper capacity, which I think is what they add to it, and the other one, and they give you the extra ink as well. It's 11,000 black pages and 8,500 copy pages, so they give you the additional ink. So anyway, we're talking about the ET 4550, which is
right.
So let's continue on. So basically, you didn't have any problem.
Not really. Now, the one thing that if I was to say there's anything wrong with this is the screen is small and it's grainy. Well, I'm used to having extremely clear screens on printers on everything I pick up now. You know, the screens are fantastic. It's not terribly grainy, but you will notice that it's not what you'd call a top-of-the-line screen for a $500 printer. That would be the only thing that I could downplay it for. I mean, you can remote print on it. You can do everything. When you compare, even with a microscope or magnifying glass, you compare the ink output, and you look at the text. It's as good as any other inkjet printer that I've looked at. So you don't see a big difference.
Now it's interesting because Epson is going to be on the show the 1st of December, and and we're going to have them on. They're going to talk specifically about their new Epson Expression, the XP 830. Yeah. Now that's a small one, which I've actually had the XP 800, the 810, and the 820. Which all replace the Artisan line of printers.
Right.
And I have the 820 now, and they just sent me the 830. And although there's some marginal differences between the smaller one printers, but again, they all have this really high quality output, but they do have that large color screen on them that you're referring to, and
right.
I really like that.
This is just a smaller screen, but when I think about it, how often do I actually interact with the screen on the printer? I'm usually printing things from my computer, or going up there and pressing copy.
Yeah, that's it. I think when you first activate it and you have to put in like your Wi-Fi password, you do it at the printer. Although I think you can do it from the computer too, but I know you do it from the screen, and it's very simple, very integrated, and it all works.
Now, if you're at the page, you're looking at the various printers. The ET2550, which has less ink, but I think if you look at that compared to the 4550, I believe that the ink tanks are bigger on the 4550.
Yeah, it's because the 2550 only prints 4,000 and 6,500 black and color respectively, whereas the ET 4550 has 11,000 pages and 8,500. And obviously, if you're looking for longer ink life, then there's really no choice in the matter.
Yeah, but if you want to buy the cheaper one, in my opinion, it pretty much only means you're going to refill a little bit more often.
Yeah, that's true.
And if you're a home user, that's not a big thing.
Yeah.
To actually take one of these squeeze bottles and squeeze it into the the printer. And one other nice thing is you can see the ink on the outside of the printer. So there's 4 little windows where you put
Oh,
the ink
yeah.
in.
Well, I see that. Yeah.
And on the outside of the printer, you can see, and they've got colors, so you can see which one is which color, and you can see exactly how much ink you have left.
So that's the actual physical ink that you're looking at.
That is the ink you're looking at.
Not an indicator
Right.
because in the smaller one I get indicators all up everywhere on the screen. You get them on my computer. And I found them to be fairly well accurate.
One says 15, one says 25. And
They're accurate, but they're aggravating.
Yeah.
Because they keep popping up. Now, this one I haven't gotten to the point of getting to the bottom of the ink, so I don't know if it's going to send me something that says your ink is getting low. I would assume it will, but it'll happen that much less frequently. So, and now one drawback, and the printer actually comes with a big plastic bag, and I was like, what is this plastic bag for, until I looked at it. And the plastic bag is actually if you want to transport the printer. If you think about it, once you fill this thing up with ink, you don't want to be moving it around the house or moving it around the office. I mean, obviously you could, as long as you're careful to keep it, in the same position. You don't want to turn it over on its side or anything like that to have the ink come out.
Yeah.
So I guess the one thing I could say if you're going to be moving on a moving truck or something like that, I might be a little skeptical about putting this on there if it had ink in it.
Yeah, and there's no way to detach the ink from the printer itself. It's
in there. It's attached. I don't believe there is, although it looks like it could come off. I haven't tried it, and I don't think I would.
On the other printers, it used to be you had to park it, and there was like a little plastic thing you would have to put in. No more now. With the most of the inkjet printers today, when you turn it off, it puts it into it slides everything over to the right, and everything kind of stays there, and so.
Right, it kind of parks itself. But I always tell people you do have to remember to turn the printer off before you move it.
Yes,
that's something you should always do.
Yeah, exactly.
Because a lot of people start moving it around without turning it off, and that's not good.
They'll pull the plug from the wall, and
right.
It doesn't give it the opportunity to go through its parking sequence. Yeah, you should always make sure that the printer's off, and it puts it into the sequence so the ink is protected. It used to be also, once you put an ink cartridge in, you couldn't remove it because it would it wouldn't the ink, the pressure in the ink would dissipate, and you couldn't use it anymore. But today's ink cartridges, on the Epsons at least, you can remove them, if you want to, and then put them back in if you want. And
as long as they don't dry out in the meantime.
Exactly.
That's the thing you've got to watch for with these printers. Yeah. And I would suppose that this would eliminate this, although I'm not absolutely positive about that, because the ink heads could still dry out. Could they not?
Yeah, well, on the Expression, for example, if you do remove it, they give you these little plastic caps that you're supposed to keep, and then you put the cap over it, and then you put that on top of it, and that keeps it from drying out and spreading. But they have made it a lot better than it used to be. I will tell you that.
Oh, without a doubt. But this printer is so unique in that all these years. The past 2 or 3 years especially, printers have come down to $100 in price, and so you're buying a cheap printer and then you're constantly feeding it with this expensive ink. And this is the total opposite. I'm amazed that Epson has done this. I think it's fantastic. But yet I walked into the Staples the other day and I asked the store manager, how are these printers selling? And he said, not very well. And I said, why not? And he says, well, I think people don't realize what they're doing or how much money they're actually going to save on the ink in the future. So they don't want to put out the $500 or $400 for these printers because they don't realize the savings. Now, in Staples, Epson had a huge display that kind of explained it. I don't know if people are not stopping to look, or more pundits like me have to get out there and talk about it, more journalists, but I just think it's a fantastic idea, and I would advise anybody to try one from my experience thus far with this.
Yeah, because ink is the cost of disposables. I mean, paper is really pretty much cheap very cheap.
Right.
The last thing that's costly is the inks, and you do not want to use third-party inks.
Right.
Just one spill. I mean, that's a disaster waiting to happen.
Well, with the ink cartridges in particular, because the ink cartridges have the little markers on the bottom or whatever that tell the printer that it's Epson ink or HP ink or whatever.
They have that, and they also have little chips in them too, which
Right.
how it displays how much ink is left in the cartridge. So these things really, I think the refillable ink industry is is not doing too well, if doing well at all.
But you wonder on these printers, because they're not cartridges, could you buy ink from some other company and put it in here? And I would think that if it was the same consistency and the same coloration and everything, it would probably not harm the printer as an ink cartridge can.
But it's going to have to be the certified to match because it's more than just the color. It's the consistency. It's the way they draw.
Oh, you're right. I mean, certified is always going to be better, but I wonder if you could actually get away with it more than you could on a. See, Epson is making their money up front here.
Yeah.
So do they care that much? Certainly they want to sell you the ink. But it's not as important to sell you the ink than when they sell you a $90 printer and then make their money on the ink cartridges.
Well, again, though, Epson, they spend millions of dollars in the formulation of these inks. This is not just some powder they find. So that's not to say that it might match the color, but they could gunk up your printer. I mean, there's a lot of things that could go wrong.
To be honest, I would not do it.
Yeah,
especially for the price. My goodness, a whole refill was, like I said, a color refill was $12.99 at Staples.
So why bother with anything else but the actual manufacturer?
Exactly. So maybe it's a win-win for Epson.
Yeah, could be.
This is kind of funny to me in a small way because we've seen this with phones. Phones and printers, you wouldn't think they had anything in common, but a lot of companies and a lot of cell carriers are taking away the subsidies and the 2-year plans and things like that. Well, hey, if they're taking their printers and charging full price and being rather lenient with the ink, they're making their money up front, just like phone companies and phone manufacturers and all that kind of thing. Like maybe it's just a general shift in the market where people are willing to pay a little bit more up front when they know, or well, you said that the printers weren't exactly selling well, but maybe the companies are hoping that they'll be willing to pay up front.
And what I said about going into Staples and asking that was one small store, that maybe the people there are not pushing it enough. I don't know that they're not doing well. I didn't mean to say that. I mean, hopefully they're doing very well. And I hope people do realize how much money they're going to be saving on this. But I think you're right, Ben. I think that what we're saying here is a totally new way of looking at printers and ink consumption.
Mm-hmm.
Totally new. Just like they're revising all these plans for the phones because people got sick of the 2-year contracts and not being able to get out of a contract, and people really started complaining. And maybe the same thing has happened with ink. Maybe enough people have been aggravated and been complaining, and that's why Epson came out with this. It'll be terribly interesting to see if HP or anybody else follows suit.
Right.
Yeah, it seems to be that way. Epson seems to be the first coming out, and a lot of them kind of follow along. So this might set a trend. The other thing that Epson could have done is just lower the price of the ink cartridges. There is that. If this doesn't do well.
Well, then they would have to. Then conceivably they would have to up the price of the printers.
Exactly.
And they couldn't do that without people looking and saying, "Well, why should I pay $200 for this Epson when I can get an HP for $100?"
Right.
See, they've got to be competitive.
That's true.
Against their other print manufacturers.
That's true. Maybe there's a delicate balance, the right balance between the price of the printer and the price of the inks. Just lower the price of the inks, quite a bit and just raise the printer slightly, and maybe offset it that way. There's got to be a balance, but in lieu of that, Epson's come up with a whole different solution, with these EchoTank printers to see how they work. Obviously, the motivation is there because they developed these things. This wasn't just because, well, let's see what else new we could do. This is obviously in response to the situation that printer companies find themselves in, and this might be the way to go. It may take some time to catch on, but these printers have only been out for a few weeks. But it's interesting to see what will happen. Anyway, you're hearing about it here on Computer America, and the EchoTank line of printers from Epson, certainly worth checking out. And Sandy, you give it a thumbs up for these, right?
Well,
yeah, Sandy, are you there? Or did we lose Sandy again?
Might have lost Sandy.
We might have lost Sandy. Okay, well, we'll get her back. Yeah, I guess we did.
Yeah, and she's frozen.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's just this whole new way of thinking about ink with, refill it yourself, and it's something that people have been wanting to do for a long time. And they always have refillable ink cartridges, and it's definitely a good idea. Hopefully, it does catch on, because it seems like a lot of companies nowadays, they're finding what people are complaining about, and this is kind of different than we have in the past, because it felt like in the past, whenever people complained about an industry in general, cell phone contracts, printer ink cartridges, cabbies, maybe, with the rise of Uber, companies in the past always said, well, that's just the way it is. That's just the way the industry is. But it seems like now some companies are actively trying to address these problems, and it may mean putting money elsewhere first, maybe putting your money up front instead of buying ink or paying for phone subscriptions. But companies are trying different things. They want to, maybe they're just tired of hearing everyone complain about it, but they're definitely trying new things.
Absolutely. Again, this new line of EchoTank printers again, and you can see it again on the if you go to our show notes page, and we have the cheat notes that you can click on it, and you can see all these things as well, and the websites, all the links are there to them. We'll do that. In the meantime, we'll wait. If Sandy has not come back yet, hopefully we'll get her back. We have a couple of more things that we want to talk about, but I'm going to wait until she gets back here, because obviously we need her to describe that. Let me just tell you briefly, at computeramerica.com, we have our website there. Is Wednesday. Let me encourage you to sign up for our contests, and basically it's under the interact menu. It says social media contests, and you can subscribe to them there, and we have all the different places where you can see the different social media that we subscribe to, like Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and Pinterest. And what you do is just go to each one of those. You go to Facebook and just like our page at Computer America at Facebook, our Computer America page at Facebook, and you get an entry every single week. From then on, you get one entry to our contest, which we award the MX Anywhere 2 wireless mouse from Logitech. If you go to the YouTube page and subscribe to our YouTube page, now you have a second entry. So now you have two entries every single week from going forward. Go to our Twitter page and follow our Twitter. Then that'll be a third one. So then you have 3 entries every Friday, and we draw every Friday a winning name from the list of names to win the Logitech MX Anywhere 2 wireless mouse. Currently, that's our prize. It's valued at $80. It is a beautiful mouse. It allows you to basically it has the dark field technology, so you can track on glass surfaces, any type of surface which you want. It works. It's got that hyper fast scroll wheel. It also has a rechargeable battery in it, and it also allows you to switch between 3 different computers. The little button at the bottom of the mouse that you can click and allow you to activate work between 3 computers with the one mouse. So it's again, it's a really terrific prize. Head over to computeramerica.com, and again, just under the Interact pull-down menu, the social media contest, and enter our contest, because who knows? This Friday we're going to be drawing another winning name, and we could be talking about you. We could be calling your name, but you can't do it unless you join our contest at computeramerica.com. So it looks like Sandy isn't coming back. I'm not sure what's going on. But we had the next product we want to talk about was the Amped Wireless TAP R2 Wi-Fi router, which has got a beautiful color screen on it. And but we're going to go to our break, and during the break, we'll see if we can get her back on the program, and we'll find out what the hang-up is, and get her back on the program.
Right. Yeah, it's should probably go and find a news story or two in revolving around, of course, Veterans Day, because I know there are a lot of different events going on across the country, celebrating the veterans, but veterans and technology, it's a bigger and bigger topic. So we'll go look for some of those.
Okay. All right. You're listening to the Computer America Show. As I said, Ben and I, we're going to take a little break, and then we have some commercial messages. Oh, and then there's Sandy. Sandy's back. So we'll continue on. You're listening to the Computer America Show. We're going to take a commercial break. We got another news tips bulletin review coming up as well, and then we'll continue on with Sandy Berger, our consumer electronics expert, coming up the Amped Wireless Wi-Fi router. We'll be right back. Hi, this is Craig Crossman, host of the Computer America Show. You have important meetings to schedule. Your company's getting ready for its IPO, and you're in charge of the PTA fundraiser this month. So how do you coordinate everyone to be available at the same time? Are you still using emails, phone calls, even text messages to schedule meetings with a group of people? How's that working out for you? Not so great, huh? It's a fact that every day, millions of people suffer from scheduling headaches. Well, with Doodle, scheduling meetings with a group of people is quick and easy. With Doodle, you can easily propose available times to each member. Each one checks off the times that they're available, and then you simply pick the time that works best for the group, all in an easy-to-read display that integrates with your existing calendar. Nothing could be more simple. Give Doodle a try for free, and like millions of Doodle users, you'll truly see how easy it is to find the perfect date and time for all your meetings. That's www.doodle.com. Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission of Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is to help build a sustainable, no-kill community where no dogs or cats are ever killed for population control, where true euthanasia is reserved only for animals who are irremediably suffering, or for animals who are truly a threat to society and with no hope of rehabilitation. Brother Wolf staff and volunteers go door to door, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate citizens about local resources available for at-risk pets and to help their families connect with those resources. Brother Wolf's community-based approach to no-kill helps keep family pets healthy, happy, and in their homes and out of the local shelter system in the first place. For more information or to make a tax-deductible donation to this wonderful 501c3 organization, visit their website at www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
No, the Cobb salad he served actually had corn cobs in it. Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America, this time clip a phone. It's the opposite of a selfie and everybody elsey. We got in clip a phone, a rig that attaches to the brim of a cap to create a strap-in stand for a smartphone and comes with a small remote fob you can use to snap pictures. The cap brim grabber has ramped bridges that make it easy to slip on but tougher to remove. The top stand clamps the camera between a solid panel and a cushion curve, while a rubbery top band belts the camera into place. You're a little more likely to have your cap come loose than to have this gizmo let go. Bottom line, with a smartphone in a clip-a-phone, its camera looks where you look and makes taking snaps a snap. Marty Winston, News Tips Bulletin for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. Here, 33 minutes past the hour in the second hour, so yep. one more segment to go as we finish up here with Sandy Berger, who hopefully joining us, healthy, wealthy, and wise still.
Yeah.
I'm here, guys.
Perfect.
So So bottom line is that the Echo Tank is certainly something that you would recommend for people to try, especially if you find themselves going through a lot of ink.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Good reason to try it.
Okay, all right. So I'm going to move to the next item here on the, which is the Amped Wireless Tap-R2 Wi-Fi router. And this, when you first look at this, it looks like, it doesn't look like a router really.
It doesn't. I'm not sure exactly what it looks like.
But of course, today with routers looking more and more less traditional. I mean, Netgear's got the Nighthawk series. I mean, some of them are really amazing looking. But this one has this huge color screen on it. Makes it very...
Well, it's not that huge. It's 3.5 inches.
Well, compared to most routers, it's huge.
Yes, that's true. No, that's true. It is unusual. It comes with it's like a flat square about 5 inches by 5 inches. Mm-hmm. And so it comes with its own stand. And so when it stands up, it kind of looks like a clock radio or something like that.
If you're watching a live video, Sandy is actually holding one up now that you can see. It does look like a... Does it have a clock display on it that you...
It does. It has a clock display, which it's obviously made to be in the middle of the house, which with routers today, I think that's where we're changing. I think that they're moving toward going to the middle of the house. It's just that most people have the wiring in place and they're not going to rewire things just to get the modem in the center of the house.
You're right. We're seeing more and more technology being designed not to be hidden in the closet or under the desk, but what was those Wi-Fi extenders, Ben, that we did? They look really nice, the little hexagonal things, and they want to...
Oh, no. That was a product. I can't remember the name, but it was a product. They had multiple routers.
Right, and they were like little extenders, but they weren't meant to be hidden. You could put them on...
No, they weren't even extenders. Each one produced its own individual signal.
Okay, so they had those. We're finding just more and more devices like the Amazon Echo. I mean, it looks really nice. You can have it out in the living room. It has a little blue ring on it. Looks really pretty. So we're seeing more and more technology being designed to be displayed.
Right.
In the living room, exactly.
Exactly, and they're good looking, and there's no reason why to hide these things anymore. It seems to me.
Yep.
Although we're getting more used to wires too.
Yeah. So tell us about this router.
Okay, so it's unique. It's very, very good looking, but it has a couple drawbacks. It on the side, the wires will come out the side actually. So you know, even if you have this in the middle of the house, you're still going to see the wires come out the side. It's probably one of the best looking ones that I've ever seen. The screen is 320 by 240 pixel resolution. Not that great, but not bad either. I mean, obviously, you can live with that. But the touch screen there's a bevel on it. Well, I shouldn't say that. The touch screen is slightly recessed, and maybe it's only about 1/8 of an inch. Mm-hmm. But when you try to press anything on the side of the screen, you're pressing on the edge, so you can't do it. So they give you a stylus, and it's hidden in the top of the unit.
Okay.
But if you guys can see, anybody who's watching, it is dinky. It's about 2 inches long, and it's, to me, almost unusable. So that's the first drawback of this. The second drawback is that it only has 2 LAN ports that are usable.
Oh.
Now, I have, in my home router, I have 8, I believe, and I use them all. Okay, I am unusual. I have a lot of devices, but I think that people today have more than 2 devices that they're going to want to plug into this.
Well, can't you get a hub?
Oh, sure. Yeah, you can get a network.
Netgear has a hub. I'm looking at one right now. That might
But why would I buy a new router that only has 2 LAN ports?
That's true.
Okay. Now, some of the new routers have home integration. So they put the Zigbee, actually the Zigbee hub is built in. So if you have anything Zigbee, like Echo is Zigbee certified, it will control that without you having to plug it in. That's different. This has no home automation and only 2 plugs.
Okay.
Okay. So, every product that I look at, I'm not always giving it 100%, thumbs up. And this is one of those things. This is, I think it's $129.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you, Amped is a good company. I'm just unhappy with this router.
You're not amped about it. Okay.
I'm not amped up on this at all.
But they do have a picture of it here. Let's say it's actually looks like it's mounted to the wall over a bookshelf, and it's got the clock display on it.
It's got the clock display. It's got some nice features design-wise. I love it. But the touch screen is poorly constructed because of that lip on it.
Mhm.
If you put your finger on the edge of anything, you can't see. If I put my finger to try to get it on the screen, I'm on the plastic part.
Okay, I see.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that part of it is poorly designed. I was a little bit disappointed with the performance. It didn't have any glitches or anything like that, but it seemed kind of slow. And I can't see any reason to really say go out and buy this. You got to have it. It's something new. It looks great. Well, it's something new. It looks great. But I kind of probably would say I don't have a reason to advise people to buy this. However, I want to clarify that Amped is a good company. And as a matter of fact, the CES in New York just gave them an award for their the most innovative smart home device, which was their Amped Wireless Athena router.
Mhm.
So they make a whole different series of routers. I don't know why they sent me this one. But they do make a lot of other routers. They make extenders, and they make some quality products. But don't look at this particular model if you're going to a new router.
Okay. All right. Well, there it is. Not so great, but if you feel some kind of this, if you don't have a lot of devices, and this might be something that you might want to look at.
Yeah, for the average size house too, it would be fine.
Okay.
For an average size house, you don't have a lot of devices, then go ahead. This is another thing that I look at for something for the future. If they take this design
Mhm.
and improve it a little bit, I think, and maybe they already have, maybe they've got some things out there, so take a look.
Okay. Yeah, go to the website again, the ampwireless.com, and of course you have the show notes or the cheat notes. You can see the link, the pictures, and the links there as well. So we're going to move on to the next one, which is the SlimPort Nano Console, and this looks really interesting.
Yeah, we started talking about this last month, and I couldn't get it to work, and so I said we'll talk about it a little bit more this month after I get it to work, and guess what? I was able to get it to work.
All right.
Yay!
Yay! And what I found, well, let me explain to people what it is. It's really unique. If anybody sees it there.
Yeah, it looks like a square cube. Looks like something like from a Lego project.
Yeah, it looks like a giant Lego, doesn't it?
It looks like a giant Lego. Yeah.
It's got a clear plastic base.
Yeah.
You put the base down, and then it's a square, gray square about 2 inches by 2 inches.
Smaller than the Apple TV.
Much smaller than the Apple TV. Put that down,
Yeah.
and then on top of that is the 2-inch square cover, more or less, that goes on top of that. But
It's also a remote.
this is the remote,
Mhm.
and it fits on top of the device. Very, very smooth. Looks really good together.
Yep.
But this little square, which is about 3/8 of an inch thick only, is also the remote control. So the whole thing is a touch. You slide your finger back and forth just like you do on your phone.
Okay.
It's a little hard to get used to, but once you get used to it, it actually works quite well. It's got 3 kind of hidden buttons on the bottom, so you're back like your Android phones. The 3 clickables there.
Mhm.
And it works really well. I could see this being used for presentations, because what this does is you hook up your cell phone or your tablet to it, and then it will more or less sling it into, obviously you're going to hook it up with an HDMI cable, but it'll take it to your TV, to your big screen.
Ah, okay.
It works very well, but the reason I couldn't get it to work at first is because it's extremely limited in the number of devices that it supports.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So there are, let's see, there's actually two competing technologies about how to hook up HDMI adapters.
Mm-hmm.
There's MHL and there's SlimPort. This uses SlimPort. And the number of devices, they're listed on the website, the number of devices that you can use. And it's not so much the number, it's that the uniqueness. In other words, the older Amazon Fires won't work with this, but the new kids Amazon Fire will work with this.
Right.
It's a question of whether the technology is built into the device or not. So I found a lot of LG phones work with it, but the one LG phone that I had handy wouldn't work with it. Okay, so I had to go and scrounge up a Kindle HD that would work with it to test it out.
Okay.
So it's very limited in that respect. But the picture is beautiful. I mean, it's really high quality, and it slings it. You can also add, and I haven't tried this, but you can add a Bluetooth keyboard and a Bluetooth mouse. So if you wanted to use this little tiny device, it could be your office.
Huh.
Okay, you take a keyboard, a mouse, and this little device, you hook it up to a TV, and that's all you need. You can work pretty seamlessly on there.
Now, I'm getting the feeling.
So I think it's an interesting device.
I'm getting the feeling that it's fairly vertical for the consumer market. I mean, you have to be specifically have a need for something like this. I don't know if there are other. I mean, there are other products that will do similar things. I mean, even the Google Chromecast, you can cast your screen to the TV. Who's the market for this?
Well, what's unique about it is this remote control that comes with it.
Yeah.
So it's perfect for presentations.
Okay.
Okay, somebody wants to give a presentation and they've got a big screen TV there, but they want to interact with it, and you could do that very easily on this. And the bottom actually has a little lip on it, so you can actually place your cell phone or your tablet in there and look at it at the same time. You can see what's on there and make sure it's what's on the TV screen.
Now, obviously, if you're going to do something like that, you need to call ahead and make sure that they have the right kind of TV.
The only thing you need on your TV is HDMI port.
A standard HDMI port.
Yeah, so that's all you need. The thing that you have to have the SlimPort technology in is your portable device. So it'll work with just about any TV, but it will not work with any portable device.
Okay, and we're talking Android only here. This is not iOS, correct?
That's right. Android only, and a limited number of Android.
Was there any talk about this coming out for the iOS with the Lightning connector?
I haven't heard that yet. It could, but as you say, it's a limited customer base.
Yeah.
There's a limited number of people who actually need this versus something else that might be a little easier to work with. One nice feature is it has a USB adapter, so you can plug it in and it can like recharge your phone at the same time, so you won't run out of battery power.
That's nice. Okay.
It's got some nice features, but if you look at it, it comes with all the cables. The cables are white or gray like the device, and they have the reddish orange ends on like the device. So it's really good looking.
Mm-hmm.
But look at that. See the cables?
Yeah. Right.
It's quite a mess of cables.
Wow.
Okay. And I was a little bit turned off by that. I mean, we're living in this wireless society.
We are.
The remote is wireless. It's got Bluetooth built in, but you have to hook it up with an HDMI cable. You have to hook your little portable device. It's got a micro USB port on it. But here I am with cables on top of cables. So,
is this something you would use? Do you do presentations? Would you think you'd use it?
I sometimes do presentations. Usually the talks that I give are kind of off the cuff. I like to just go out there and talk and answer people's questions, because when I give a talk, they start asking me questions, and there goes my presentation. So I usually don't use something like this. I probably would not use it because I would find that there's other things that would be better, and also because I don't have a device that has the slim port built into it. I don't have a portable device. So I couldn't use it if I wanted to, and that's its main drawback, is how limited it is in the number of mobile devices that it supports.
Right. Okay. Price, do we know what it is yet?
I think it's going to be around $49. So the price is not bad for what you get.
And if you have a need for or use for something like this, certainly would be.
If you have a use for it, it would be great. Look it up. It's supposed to be. I think the next one is supposed to support 4K as well. Although in a device like this, there's not. I want to say there's not that much use for it, and yet cell phones are going to photographs taken in 4K. So, there might be a use for it.
Yeah, exactly. And again, you get to see what's on your phone at the same time when you're looking at the TV because it'll stand there, which it has.
Right. Yeah. It's nicely done, but limited scope and limited use. Limited number of people that will be able to use it.
Okay. All right. So again, you can see all this again on our show notes page at computeramerica.com. We have a number of stories that you've listed here as well, that we could go to.
Well, tell everybody where they can read my stories then.
Yeah, exactly. Now, we actually just did, we're getting ready to do this first one, which is the Windows 10 privacy and security options. I think we're going to jump over that because our show tomorrow is about exactly that.
That'll be very interesting. Tell everybody to tune in for that.
Yes, exactly. From a Slimware utility is going to be.
Okay, that's great, because Windows 10, there's a lot of flack it's taking about how secure it is and how much of your data it's reaching in for. So tune in for that if you're going to cover it tomorrow.
Yeah, and they've got something called privacy tools, which basically streamlines the process, so you don't have to go to all of these different places. You have just a series of little check boxes, like 3 or 4 different check boxes, and then it will cover all of your requirements for security. And we're going to be talking to Slimware Utilities about that.
Okay, so if you want to hear even more about the privacy and how to set your own security options in Windows 10, go to the CompuKIS website and read about it there.
Now, that leaves the other 3. Of the 3 that you have there, did you want to touch on the Edge?
Well, I'd like to touch just a little bit about the Edge browser.
Okay, sure. We can do that.
Because a lot of people get Windows 10 and they don't realize that it's got a new browser. They also don't realize they can still use the old browser.
Mm-hmm.
So Windows 10 comes with Microsoft Edge, which is a brand new browser. It's made with a clean interface. It's got some great, really neat features to it, but it's a work in progress. It is something that Microsoft, I think, put out a little bit prematurely.
They were coming out with Windows 10, and they felt, well, we don't want to do Explorer again, so that.
Right.
So they came with that. One of the big things that I understand about but again, this is still just a promise, it hasn't happened, is that supposedly all the plugins that you have with your current browsers, be it Firefox or Chrome, those plugins are going to be compatible with Edge.
That's right. That's what Microsoft had announced at one time. Now they're supposed to have this big update to Windows 10 coming out within the November sometime, and that hopefully will have the extensions for the Edge browser, but I'm not absolutely sure of that. There will be changes to Windows 10, and that's a whole other thing that we could talk about. One thing that I'm a little bit upset with is that they're making changes as we go to Windows 10, and I can see them because I work with it intensely every day. But I think that people want to know what they're doing. This automatic updating is great, but why not tell people about it? So Microsoft has now stated that they're going to make, as they call it, a first stab at telling people what their updates will do. So in November sometime, there will be a big update to Windows 10. And some updated things will get into the Edge browser as well. Hopefully, Microsoft will in some way tell people what they've put in the updates so that they know and understand maybe why their screen looks a little bit different or why something's acting differently, or just to let people know that there's a new functionality that they should try. So it'll be very interesting when this update comes to see what Microsoft actually does with it.
Really? I mean, I've been watching closely because let's face it, I mean, Internet Explorer has been around for so long, but so many people still use that technology, and the fact is that, but it's showing its age. It really is showing its age, and so we need to get something new. And certainly, I mean, the Edge has a lot of promise. It really does.
It not only has a lot of promise, but it is much more secure than Internet Explorer ever was. So if you really want to have a little more confidence in your web browsing and have a web browser that's more secure, I really do like the Edge browser. It's a simplistic screen. It's more of a white screen than Internet Explorer, but you can do so many things with it. It's got an one thing I really like about it, it's easy to find your downloads. Do you know, I don't know how many people that aren't really computer literate, they download something and then they call me and say, I can't find it. Can't find it. They don't know where the download folder is. Well, in Edge, the download folder is built right into Edge. So you just go there and you click on one of the icons and you've got all your downloads listed right there in the browser, which is really a nice feature. Have you used it, Ben?
I've used a little bit of the Edge when it first came out, and I'm probably one of millions out there who are waiting for, of course, the add-on extension.
Yeah.
But it really does seem like a really fine browser. It's just missing a few key features that, I'm sure they had to rush the Edge a little bit just to get it out and shipped with Windows 10, but it's shaping up really well.
And this is kind of the things that we're talking about today. We were talking about Apple TV. We talked about the Echo, which is Amazon's artificial intelligence home automation system, and now we're talking about the Edge browser. And all these things are getting better and better. Hey, it's not costing us any extra money.
No,
this is the beautiful thing about it.
Yeah.
If you recall, previously, every time they make a new version, you'd have to buy a new piece of hardware, a new piece of software. So this is an amazingly good thing for the consumer.
Yeah.
And let's hope it keeps up.
Yeah, exactly. And look, I mean, Microsoft offered the operating system for free. And let's face it. I mean, I don't think it's going to continue to be a trend, but certainly they want everybody to be over at Windows 10, and they've already announced the drop point for Windows 7 and 8.1. Although there'll still be support for it, but there won't be. If you buy a new computer, it has to have Windows 10. You can't buy a Windows 7 machine anymore, or Windows 8 or 8.1 machine.
But do you know what Microsoft is doing in their effort to get everybody on Windows 10? They only give you 31 days if you want to go back to Windows 7 or Windows 8 to revert back. I mean, they make a copy of all your old stuff. They put it on your own computer. Then they come in after 31 days. On the 31st day or 32nd day, they come in and delete that folder so you cannot revert anymore. So if there's anybody out there who wants to try Windows 10, isn't sure that they'll like it, just remember you can only revert back easily for 31 days.
And look, resistance is futile. Eventually, it's all going to be Windows 10.
That's true.
They want everybody to be on the same operating system with all the same updates. They want everybody to be the same, which is a laudable place to be. I think that Microsoft, that's everybody. They have everybody's best interest. So when you call up, they want to say, "What version are you using?" or "What updates do you have?" They're just going to know it's the latest version, and they just have to deal with one operating system, and certainly those want to be. All right, well, Sandy, we're pretty much out of time. Again, CompuKiss.com. You can see all of the products and the stories and a lot more at the CompuKiss website. And also
90 seconds.
Hardware Secrets carries her columns as well, anudomain.net, all these places. And I guess you can go to computeramerica.com and find out all the places that you can listen to and see Sandy. Sandy, thank you so much for being with us here.
It was great fun tonight. It's not night, it's afternoon. Okay.
Yeah, that it is. Yeah, exactly. And we'll see you next month.
All righty.
We'll do that. Stay with us to the end.
Hopefully you find lots of those Black Friday deals, because that's going to happen before you join us next time.
Oh, I'll have to go out and get something special.
Yeah. And coming up tomorrow, it's going to be Slimware Utilities is going to be joining us in the first hour, talking about Windows 10 and the privacy issue, and their privacy tools that they now have that does some amazing things for you. We're going to have them on the first hour of the show. Kevin Thomas, the product director, talking about the privacy controls on Slim Cleaner Plus. And then in hour 2, Ada Lovelace. We're going to have 2 university professors, PhDs, talking about Ada Lovelace and why she's so important to computer science. So until tomorrow afternoon, this is Craig Crossman, hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. We'll see you tomorrow afternoon.
Bye, everyone.
10 seconds. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, again, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you found it entertaining. I know we did, and I'm sure that you did too. Check out all the products, and of course Sandy's website, CompuKiss.com. Sandy, thanks again for being with us here on today's show.
All right, I'm sorry about the glitch. My internet went out.
Oh, well, we're glad that it came back.
All right.
We'll see you next month. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.